Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmidty, Swanny and Clarky revisit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will definitely include drunken rambles. And listener discretion is advised.
I'll introduce us. I used to work at Foxtel with Paul, and I used to work at Foxtel with Carla.
Is that right?
Yeah, Paul was pre your
Go
time.
figure.
Yeah, Paul
In
was
Melbourne?
In Melbourne, yeah. Paul was in
okay. So
the
going right back to
olden days.
2000?
Earlier.
Yeah, October the 9th, 1995. Was that when Foxtel launched?
Yeah, because I left Foxtel in, you're right, Carl, 2001 when I went to England. So just before I went to England. And yeah, so Paul and I worked together from about 95 to, well, I was there for longer. I can't remember when you left.
98 I left.
Then when I went up to Sydney, I worked with Carla in the marketing team in Sydney. Although originally she wasn't there, she came along because she was working for the agency Lavender. And she came along and she joined the marketing team. And for, I don't know, 6 months was terrified of me.
Can't imagine why.
I can't either. One night we were at someone's leaving do or something. And so, of course, a bit pissed up, I cornered her at the bar and said, "What is your problem?" And, of course, that terrified her even more. And then...
Oh, no, this is something different. I'm sorry, I'm butting in. That was an Atlas bar, wasn't it? Now I remember. I was thinking of a house party. I know exactly what you're talking about now in Darlinghurst, and upstairs, was it called Atlas or something?
Something like that. I wouldn't know. I don't remember what I did yesterday, but I do recall that.
Clearly,
then the tipping point, though, because we used to get the bus. We used to catch the same bus, and she used to sit up the front. She'd never say hello to me. And, you know, she got off before me because I was a bit further in Bondi. And I used to think, Carla's so rude. Anyway, after I met Andy and I came back and, you know, had this romance, we had a pizza and red wine thing at my house. I decided to invite the girls because I was friends with Billsy.
It's your house that I'm talking about.
It's my house. It was Billsy and I don't know, I had a couple of friends. And so I just thought, I'll just be social. So I invited them all for red wine and pizza. And Carla got very intrigued by my Scottish romance. And after that, that humanized me. And she thought I was all right. And we became very good friends. And Carla followed me, not me personally, correct, but she came over to England a few months after I moved to England. And so we had a lot of shenanigans in the UK together and Corsica and lots of weekend trips to random places in Europe. Paul and I met in 95, but Paul and I have been mates ever since. Probably to do with shared interests in drinking and talking shit. Do you want to talk to each other now that I've done the intros?
I've got a few questions, but some of mine are clarifying who I thought Paul Clark was versus who Paul Clark may well be.
Paul Clark is, are you pulling my dick? No, Paul Clark is famous with some people because I would say, are you pulling, as my friend Paul Clark would say, are you pulling my dick? But perhaps I never said that to you, judging by the look on your face.
But I think where I get confused is there a musical theatre connection, or is that somebody else entirely that I'm thinking of?
No, we did do that one thing.
We did a fundraiser.
One night, what was it? Otto Titsling, and what was the other one we did?
Keep Young and Beautiful.
Oh, God, we did two.
Yeah, so it was a fundraiser cabaret night, and it was like a mini competition, and we should have won because we were hands down the best.
We smashed it.
Paul, we dressed basically Paul in drag for both of them. He was the person modelling the bra for Otto Titsling.
Is that from Beaches?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep Young and Beautiful, where he dressed as this, you know, questionably beautiful woman. And we basically just danced around and laughed a lot and got very, very drunk. You guys talk amongst yourselves. My booze order's here. Back in a sec.
Oh.
Your booze order? Jesus. That's not
now
bad
you're in
timing.
lockdown. You're in Melbourne, are you?
No, I'm in a place called Indigo Valley, which is Albury Wodonga.
Oh, I know that. Is that where you live?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were in Melbourne.
No, I moved up here, 11 years ago? Yeah, this is my husband, Stuart.
Oh, hi, Stuart. I'm Carla. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
So
Bit glary.
he's just listening in.
How disappointing. That wasn't my booze order at all. Never mind.
We thought it
Have
was
you
a
got no
truck
booze?
backing in.
Oh, we've got a little tiny bit of
Yeah.
booze, and it's Kate's. So, and I started to have some, so I thought I'd better buy some more. No, it wasn't a truck backing in, you cheeky. It's just Caroline's weekly order of grog.
Got the big Dan Murphy semi out the front.
Oh, just that alky on the corner. No, it was a man who lives a couple of doors up. He was walking past earlier today, and I was very charmingly outside in my green dressing gown, which I live in. He's a funny old bloke. He was saying, oh, I'd love to have a dressing gown, it'd be really good. But, I don't know if I could get one in a men's colour that would look all right. And I said, they're on eBay. And he's like, I'm not on the internet. And I was like, you know what, just stay where you are for a sec. Just stay here. So I said, here you go, have this. And then he was coming back to thank me again, which he didn't need to do. But
I feel like you should have asked him for a wine.
I didn't ask him for anything. In fact, next time I
No,
see
but
him,
you
I'm
should
going to...
have,
Why? I don't even know if he
to
drinks.
get you through till your delivery turns up.
I've got wine galore. I just felt like sparkling. And I'm very bourgeois.
Oh,
we've
Because
got
I live in
plenty
a
of
world
it
where I
here.
can just order from BWS and it's here within an hour.
Is that right?
That is right,
You in the-
Carla. That's
in the
why
big cities. I'm not sure you could do that in Perth.
I was going to say, that's why you don't want to live in Perth. You want to live in Melbourne or Sydney, where you've got services.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that'd be the top reason. There's probably 50 reasons I could give you for why you wouldn't want to live in Perth. That's for sure. Anyway, it's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. I love it,
Fine.
really.
Fine.
Ooh.
Hey, guess who's turned up?
Where did that come from?
Okay, from the BWS around the
What does he
corner.
walk into your kitchen and do self-service?
No, my niece
He
does.
walks straight
The
in.
children of the house deliver for me. Are
Caroline.
your children not ready to do that yet, Carly? You must train them.
Oh, God.
So who's going to go first?
I think Dildo Man.
I think Dildo Man. So
Or actually, distant cousin of Dildo Man, but yes, whoever, not
All
I don't
right.
know the lead story.
So Clarky, what are you drinking just before you get into your case?
So today I'm having a Birds on the Hill, which is from a local winery in Beechworth. It's their 2018 Chardonnay. It's made by Serena and Gayle, who are the Birds on the Hill. And ironically, this little story is about two birds, not on the hill.
All right, so tell us your story.
Rightio. So this one is the story of Gayle Newland, and it's a crime of gender fraud.
Wow.
Ooh.
By way of disclaimer, the information that I found comes from articles from The Guardian and from BuzzFeed News. But the headline is the one that got me, which is Woman Who Pretended to Be a Man Convicted in Prosthetic Penis Case.
Okay.
It's ringing bells, and I don't know why. It'll come to me. Keep going.
Whole relationship.
I knew I opened myself up to that then, but no. Something in the back of my mind is thinking about a prosthetic penis, and I don't know why. Anyway, as you were.
I would have called it a strap-on, but, prosthetic penis. Just by way of background, the story starts in 2003 when Gayle Newland from Williston, Cheshire was 13.
Well, I thought Queensland.
No.
said-
Queensland
that's right,
was
you-
the feeder story.
Distant
That's
cousin.
right. That's the thing that got you hooked on the topic. Sorry.
That dragged me into the
Yeah.
wormhole, yes. So she took hundreds of pictures from an American Filipino man's MySpace profile to MySpace, this is how long that was, to create a MySpace account for Kye Fortune, a man she had made up.
Okay.
Soon she would give Kye a blogspot page, Facebook profile, and even a YouTube account where Kye would share videos of his street dancing or clips of himself playing Katy Perry songs on the piano.
It's interesting that that's what she would choose. A guy singing Katy Perry songs
I
and
love this
break
guy.
down
I
the
want to
piano.
be this guy. I want
That's who I want to be.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm creating a MySpace and I can be
That's the best
guy.
content. That's
That
what
is,
I want to be.
if I was a man, I would be him.
Yes.
That's who she was born to be. So anyway, also
Was that Lady Gaga, not Katy Perry though? Anyway,
Could be.
sorry, go on.
Could be. So anyway, Kye Fortune, so Kye, the number 4, and then Tune, so Kye Fortune is also credited as the writer of a song performed by a Filipino British singer online as Kye Newland could talk to other girls in a way she couldn't as a girl. So that's how Kye Fortune came to be.
Right.
Chloe is the victim. Chloe is not her real name because we're not allowed to use her real name for
Protected.
legal reasons that I don't understand as a wine drinker.
As a non-legal person, yeah.
So Chloe claims that she met Kye before she met Gayle. So Gayle is the female, Kye is the male. She met Kye before she met Gayle, as he'd requested her as a friend on Facebook. So riddle me this.
Sorry, Kye's not real?
Kye's not real.
Met
Right,
them online.
right. So she met him online. Yeah, okay.
I just got one question for you at this point. If something popped up on your Facebook feed and it said Kye Fortune wants to add you as a friend and you didn't know Kye Fortune,
Decline.
Carla?
Oh, definitely. But I'm quite strict about that, so I only say yes to people that I actually do know.
Yeah, good to know.
But it'd be a hard no for me.
So you wouldn't be, hey, this Kye Fortune sounds awesome.
Kye Fortune,
Wanna
that
be his
name
friend.
sounds.
He plays Katy Perry songs on the piano.
He's my kind of guy. Yeah, he's my kind of guy. Yeah.
So Chloe fell in love with him online so hard that the pair got engaged before they'd even met in real life.
So would given that we're talking about MySpace, and not to suggest that catfishing is a new concept, but it's probably a new name for it.
Early days, yeah.
This is an early version of catfishing.
Quite possibly the original.
the OG catfish case. Okay, cool. We have nothing to substantiate that, by the way, but sure. Okay.
Correct. But so I just need to read that sentence again because it's quite an enormous sentence. Chloe fell in love with him online so hard that the pair got engaged before they'd even met in real life.
Not advisable behaviour.
Not your normal couple, is it?
No, but I mean, it just speaks to Chloe being very lonely, I would say.
It does.
Yes.
I don't think she was assessing a diamond on that engagement or proposal. It just sounds like it was perhaps do you fancy getting married? We should get married, yes.
This really is forever.
Yeah, for sure.
I've never
It's
felt
cases
this
like
about anyone. You make me feel amazing. You don't exist. But anyway.
It's cases like this that always confuse me when we discuss gay marriage as a debate. Like, they can get engaged like that?
Yeah.
Really? Anyway, so Gayle Newland was introduced online to Chloe via Kye, and when met Chloe in a library, becoming her best friend and comforting her when Kye stood her up. So that's how the two women met.
So Kye, who is engaged to Chloe,
Yes.
then introduces online, initially I'd imagine, his true self, which is Gayle, to Chloe.
Yes, correct. Yes.
And then is the library meeting an actual in real life meeting?
Where Kye stood her up,
Okay.
but Gayle just happened to be there.
Oh.
It's a significant coincidence, but a bit of a coinky dink.
What are you doing in the fiction aisle, Gayle?
Deirdre Chambers, what a coincidence.
Exactly. So eventually, under the stipulation that Chloe was blindfolded at all times in his presence, Kye agreed to meet Chloe.
Makes sense. Fine. Can't see anything suspicious in that.
No, not at all.
So in her words, the pair spent over 100 hours in each other's company over a period of 2 years.
Blindfolded on the behalf of Chloe.
Whenever they're together in person, blindfolded.
Was there any reason given for the requirement of blindfolding?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. You want that now, or would you like me to?
Well, no. Keep going. I look forward to that being revealed.
So every time they became intimate, Chloe would agree.
Oh my God! What? Recap.
Every time they became intimate, Chloe would agree to have her hands tied behind her back. So she's blindfolded and her hands tied behind the back every time. It's not something they grew into every time.
Okay.
Staying
with the story. I'm trying to stay with the story. Come on.
Yeah. So that's the story before trial, as Chloe tells it. So Gayle, who is also Kye Fortune, says that Chloe added Kye on Facebook.
Hang on, Chloe. Oh, the other way around.
Yeah. And they began chatting online using Kye as a foil for their relationship.
Oh, okay.
Falling in love, they met up and engaged in consensual sexual role play, with Newland acting in the role of Kye. The logic was, so they were apparently two lesbians who were both closeted and were struggling to come out, and so this was an easy way for them to express their sexuality together. The logic was, if one of them played it male, the relationship was passably heterosexual and therefore acceptable.
Look, I know it's weird, but that makes a lot more sense than someone falling in love with someone online and every time they meet, agreeing to be blindfolded and have their hands tied behind their back if they really thought it was a man. Yeah.
Let's continue, because
it
does keep on giving. It does keep on giving. It was only when Newland told Chloe she was planning on coming out as a lesbian to her own parents that Chloe got cross at Newland. So I think at this point, to your point, Schmidty, you could rationally say Gayle's probably telling the more credible story.
I have a feeling there's a Shyamalan twist coming here.
Always is. So the case went to trial, and the complainant.
Oh, sorry, what were the charges?
So there was sexual assault.
Sorry, who went to the police? Who was reporting who?
Who reported
Chloe?
it?
So Chloe went to the police,
yes,
and reported Gayle for sexual assault, and her prosecution were saying it was gender fraud was the case.
So she was saying that the abuse or assault or whatever was when she was playing the part of Kye Fortune.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
there's
Well,
so this all comes out in the trial part.
Chloe is maintaining the position that she thought she was with a man. And
100%.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
just checking.
So in trial, Chloe
Definitely
said
need
she
to
was.
Get more drink.
Yeah, you should definitely get more drink. So the complainant, Chloe's case was that she was so desperate to be loved that she suspended her disbelief during her 2.5-year relationship with Newland, who she truly believed was a man called Kye Fortune.
Look, I can suspend disbelief for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour and a half when I'm watching a Disney film, but 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Although, you got to take mental health into account. So
you certainly do in this case.
In this case, Chloe, as we said at the outset, sounds like a very lonely person.
So
a bit sad, Paul. Come on, get to the
Chloe
funny
said
bits.
Kye told her he was insecure about his body, having lost muscle tone following treatment for a brain tumor and a car accident.
Oh my God, he's a bad run. But what? How did that affect his street dancing? And he's playing the piano,
Exactly. So initially, the videos on Facebook and MySpace and whatever were of an athletic American, Filipino, Latino, or whatever it was. Anyway, so
American.
He asked her to wear a blindfold every time they met. Get this, even when they watched films together.
Oh God.
Or were out in his car.
In the car, just driving around, a woman in the front seat with a blindfold.
I'm surprised someone didn't call the police earlier. There's a woman driving past. She was blindfolded. That can't be right.
That looks bad.
Yeah, I've just, maybe she's abducted.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they have had the same voice? If you're blindfolded and you're...
No, he's going to get to it.
100%. So I'm going to have to tell you that bit now. So Kye apparently had quite a high-pitched voice. And it was because he and Gayle were such good friends and they grew up in the same area that they spoke the same.
Oh, right.
Well, that makes total sense. That's 100%.
So
sure.
Every time she met
That's happened. I mean, to no one. Sorry, keep going.
To no one ever, yes. So back to the story, or back to the fact. It's not a story, is it? It's like real life. Every time she met up with Kye Fortune, she either had to put a mask on already or he would wait outside the door and she would put it on. In her words, and I must say I do agree with this, I was so desperate to be loved.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. So desperate for love, so desperate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nailed it.
I can see that.
In a nutshell.
Mate.
Oh, God.
I'm glad at that point she actually had an accurate self-assessment because I feel like at other times perhaps not so good.
Oh, do we think that she felt better with this fictitious person than just on her own and therefore put up with it? I don't know.
You watch Catfish, that TV show? I could watch it hours and hours on end. It's
no, I've only
amazing what
watched.
People allow themselves to not even, I don't think they believe it, but just so that they're not alone.
Yeah, I've watched one or two. I certainly haven't watched hours and hours of it.
Oh, I probably only watched, I don't know if there's 100 episodes. I've watched a lot of it. And I've seen some episodes more than once. I'm embarrassed.
I didn't even know it was a show.
Really?
Well,
oh my
maybe
God.
that's something you need to invest some time in, Paul.
Maybe.
This might be the original one, though, of those, because, I mean, that show's been on for like 10 years.
I like that you two are the experts in catfishing and I'm telling you this story.
Well, I would consider myself not exactly an expert, but I mean, as I say, I've done a few hours on the TV program, so I know a bit about it.
I think when I first introduced the two of you, I did point out that Carla was my source of popular culture. I didn't know anything until I met Carla. And she used to be to Love Island, Temptation Island, basically shit reality TV, music, you know. She talked about things that happened in the 80s. I mean, I was alive in the 80s and I remember nothing. And it's my secondhand memories of Carla. As Carla's telling stories about what happened in her time in the 80s, it makes me go, I was around. What was I doing? Like, what
was I doing with my time?
Thankfully, I met her in the 90s and she brought me right up to speed. Sorry, we digress. Let's go back to Chloe and Kye and Gayle and the love triangle that is them.
Okay, yeah, you're ready. So one of the things that came out in court is that Chloe was heterosexual. I thought that Newland was too, so Newland being Gayle. So she thought they were both heterosexual.
So this is Chloe's version, yes. Because Gayle doesn't think that. Right.
Now, here's a really good admission. She admitted she had perhaps been foolish to have sex with someone she had never seen in the flesh. But insisted she only ever consented to sleeping with a man, not a woman wearing a strap-on.
What's that face for? Because, you know, this isn't...
Is that my face?
No, you know, Paul's. Paul.
Well, I kind of think...
A quizzical, but really face.
If you're blindfolded and you're handcuffed, if you're sleeping with a man or a woman with a strap-on, you probably wouldn't know the difference.
I've got a question.
All men, let's just put it that way.
if your hands are now out of the equation, so you can't feel and you can't see, your hearing must be like supersonic. You know, you must really hear anything. Wouldn't you hear someone getting prepped? It's like, oh, is that you sort of strapping something on? Is that you going, oh, no, I'm just happy to, you know, just sit here.
Undoing my pants. It's just a lot longer to undo my pants, and that's why you're hearing. I mean, again, this the fact that I don't know much about these things.
There could have been some romantic music playing, or like boom, 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 let's go back to my room.
We could do it all night.
I reckon the foreplay would have been pretty good, though. Just saying.
Well, she does make a comment about the foreplay a little bit later on.
Oh, okay. Because I was just going to say, you know, like, an often heard complaint about men is they can't find the clitoris. At least Gayle knew where the clitoris was. Just saying.
Somewhere under her strap-on.
No, I'm talking about
Chloe's,
you dickhead. Anyway. I'm sorry, Paul. I forget. You don't know what a clitoris is. Fine.
Because it doesn't go as well as the Ford Cortina. Great Shirley Valentine joke. Anyway, so after admitting that she had perhaps been foolish to have sex with someone she'd never seen in the flesh, she told the jury that after 3 or 4 months of communicating on Facebook, Kyle told her he had a close friend who was also in Chester and that she would get on really well. That friend was Newland. In
Right.
course, they became firm friends and would socialise together and visit one another's homes.
Can I ask a quick question? There's not a huge age difference between them, is there?
No, they're both about the same age. They were both 25 at the time this was all going on.
Right. So it's not a far-fetched idea that some random girl would be really good friends with another random.
I think the random girl is the least far-fetched bit of the story.
No, I mean, I've got lots of girlfriends that I'm aware of. None of them have catfished me, but anyway.
Well, how many times have you been blindfolded and handcuffed during sex?
Well, that's none of your business.
Because every single one of them could have been a catfishing incident.
I think I've clocked up about 200 hours. Isn't that what it was quoted as before? If I had to put a number on it, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I've done roughly, about 200 hours.
So the victim told the court she had spent 100 hours with Newland before realising she wasn't a man.
No, I thought they were introduced as girlfriends.
No. She means Ty. She worked out that she was having sex with was not a man.
Okay, right.
Yeah, we like
So
to
about
switch.
Is that? But we're not saying 100 hours of because they watched films, Paul.
It wasn't 100 hours
Well,
on the job.
One of them did. One of them just listened to films.
Anyway, they did other activities. They drove around the car. They didn't. That 100 hours is not all having sex.
No, there was definitely times where they played I Spy in the car. And she was never very good at that. Goodness. Anyway, so no, the point of the 100 hours was that the pair had sex around 10 times with her wearing the blindfold.
Okay, but okay. What's that? 15 minutes times 10.
So, do you want to know?
Hours.
Do you want to know how she found out that?
Of course we do.
Should I?
It wasn't that the blindfold came off at any point, or she snuck a peek at any point during 100 hours.
Yeah,
very respectful, Carla. She's very respectful.
I know she's very
uncomfortable with what he looks like after his car accident and his brain tumor.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep you in suspense for just a little bit longer. I'm going to tell you Gayle's side of the story. So she testified that she told her accuser that she talked to girls on Facebook using an alias Kye Fortune. The woman added Kye as a friend shortly after, she claimed, the woman being Gayle. Newland told the jury she did not even try to differentiate
Newland
Kye
is Gayle. Isn't Newland Gayle?
Newland is Gayle. Sorry, did I say? Yeah.
You said
the woman being Chloe. So now I'm getting confused.
It is a
On that
confusing
note,
story.
I'm going to pour myself another wine.
You can regroup.
Well, so just for our listeners at home, I'm drinking wine with my husband Stuart. We're sharing a bottle and the bottle has just been finished. So just in case you're wondering how much is enough to have drunk by now, it's about half a bottle, I think.
Right.
So she told the jury that she did not even try to differentiate Kye from herself, pointing out that she told the complainant they both had the same birthdays, they were both into chick flicks and R&B music, both had obsessive compulsive disorder, and both had a dog called Gypsy.
That is a coincidence.
You think? No.
What, you think there are a lot of gypsies out there? I mean, there are a lot of gypsies out there in
There's
Cheshire.
a lot of
I want to shake these people. Oh my God.
In Cheshire,
I
for
find it
sure.
infuriating. Oh.
So she insisted that when they talked on the phone, the voice she used when playing Kye was exactly the same as hers. She never made any attempts to hide her voice. Surely you would make the connection between your best friend Gayle and your never seen lover.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd have to.
Yeah, well, when we get to was there a crime, when we get to the sentencing, I'm for
So, and here's the bit that we're all at the moment, right? For her part, Newland claimed the victim always knew she was pretending to be a man and that they were engaging in role play while struggling with their sexuality. Newland also denied use of a blindfold.
Oh, what at all or
Really?
ever?
Well, there's lots of conflicting evidence, and you know, as you could imagine, a story like this gets lots of airplay amongst non-credible news sources. So I struggled to actually get to the facts, but
well, I'm sorry. I think you at the start of this said that one of your sources was BuzzFeed. Speaking of non-credible sources, but anyway,
100%. You've caught me out there. So no, but seriously, do you want to know how she found out, or should we just skip that bit? That's not
No,
really
I
important.
do, because
Are you
this
sure?
first 100 hours, blindfolds all the time.
It's not necessarily relevant to the story. It's just funny.
But it's important for me to know. I'm
Okay.
invested enough to want to know.
So in one account, Chloe tells the jury she became suspicious on the final occasion they had sex. I grabbed for the back of his head and my hand got caught on something. It did not feel right. She ripped off her blindfold and found Gayle standing beside her.
Beside her?
Standing, strap on. She was actually apparently in a swimsuit so that you couldn't feel anything too much. So she'd bandaged
Oh,
her
it couldn't feel breasts.
Put a swimsuit
Oh,
on.
I see. Yeah. Like strapped her breast down, sort of, with a swimsuit.
All makes sense. That's the boring bit. My favourite one is on the afternoon that she did discover that Kye wasn't real. She said Kye asked her to give him oral sex, but that the testicles, as the prosecution put it, didn't feel right.
I bet they didn't.
Now,
They didn't.
I don't know, but I think I have definitely felt the testicles of a prosthetic penis, also known as a dildo. 100% I have. And they don't feel right.
Round? They don't feel right. Round?
But she's never felt other testicles, to my knowledge.
Oh, hang on. We're not suggesting this woman was a virgin.
I'd hope she was. Who would agree to have sex without ever like? There's something not right there.
No, it doesn't mean she's a virgin just because she's a.
I'm not going to make that leap either. She may or she may not have been a virgin. I don't know.
I reckon she was, because I wouldn't. Otherwise, she would have surely been able to go, "This is not normal." If it's your first time,
she just went on for so long with it not being normal. I think
whole thing was not normal. Yeah, I'm with Carl. I think this person.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Struggling. Put it that way.
So once she realizes,
I don't want to judge. But I suspect Chloe has life difficult.
Well, it's very disappointing that you don't want to judge, but bear in mind at some point soon you're going to have to judge. That's the whole point.
Oh, don't worry, I will then.
So keep an open mind for now, judge later.
Are there only 2 reveals or more?
Well, so once she realised that the testicles don't feel right,
yes,
she removed her scarf and blindfold, and to her horror, discovered she was not in bed with Kye. She was in bed with a woman she knew as her friend Gayle Newland, who was wearing a bizarre costume which included the prosthetic penis strapped to her waist.
Her waist?
That's awful. Does it matter where it's strapped, I guess? I don't know.
Do you get more purchase?
It's all about purchase. It's all about purchase. That's exactly what I was thinking.
If it's about purchase, you'd be better off going with your knee.
I like it. You might have to strap it around a few times. So yeah.
Jesus, or maybe your foot. I can bang.
No, you get tired. I think you're on something with the knee.
So do I. That'll give you some purchase.
I'm not sure about this next sentence. It kind of, I don't know if it pulls everything together or just rips everything apart. Chloe told the jury, people get raped by males and it sounds sick, but I think I'd prefer it. I just think of all the stuff I let her do to me, like foreplay, and it makes me feel sick.
I think she's just covering up for the fact that she's not comfortable with her own sexuality, I think.
I feel like it's...
Earlier, well, there was an intimation earlier that both of them were gay and struggling with...
That was from Gayle's perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and then when Gayle said she was going to come out, Chloe got really angry. So maybe Chloe is finding it harder to...
Yeah.
Well, doesn't think
that she's having sex with a woman, yeah.
I'm not sure.
I've look, never been raped, thank God. So I can't really speak to that. But I get the idea of I've been duped and I'm embarrassed that I've been duped. But I think it's a bit far-fetched to say that you would prefer to be raped I'm sorry. I find that, I don't know.
Cannot come at that. Pardon the pun.
I can't come at that. I'm sorry.
I sort of think it speaks a little bit to Chloe's
Health.
overall situation, which we're kind of dancing around a little bit, because I think it.
Well, because we don't know her, we're not mental health specialists, but it's fair to say it sounds like mental health plays a part in Chloe's position on this. Yeah.
Definitely in my part, I'm not a mental health specialist, may have mental health issues, I'm not a mental health specialist.
Doesn't make you a specialist. It makes you a victim. Don't we all, though,
right.
darling? Don't we all?
Yeah, I'm going to go and buy a blindfold and some handcuffs.
Well, it just puts us on a spectrum, and maybe when we hear this sort of stuff, we go, "Oh, we're not that bad, actually. Everything's fine."
Yeah, we don't have it 100 hours.
It's fine. I'm fine. It's fine.
I don't know if I'd be at the 100 hours part of the spectrum. I maybe could be, convinced for 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, clearly at the very outset, Gayle has set up this sort of faux profile to pretend she's somebody she's not. But now I sort of think, I feel like, I think Chloe knew. I just don't think she wanted to.
I find it really hard to believe.
Yeah, you can't.
Oh, do you want... So then there's...
Okay, so there's more to come.
Well, so that's the 2 stories, right? But there's other evidence. Backing up a story was evidence of another woman who has also been duped by Kye Fortune. So this is backing up Chloe's story. She never met him, it says in the headline. She figured out his true identity after realising he had the same dog as one of his Facebook friends, Gayle Newland.
Ooh.
I don't know how they wouldn't have had photos with each other in the same.
But Gayle says Gayle never pretended that she didn't have the same dog. So Gayle's position is, I never lied about that.
This is another woman. So this is
I know. But maybe that's why Gayle presented early in the court case to say, and by the way, we both have the same dog, and I never pretended we didn't have the same dog. And maybe that was Gayle knowing that she'd been rolled by other people for that fact.
So this other woman, after realising that they had the same dog, rang Kye's number, putting on a voice, and asked to speak to Gayle, who said, "Speaking."
I just happen to be at Kye's house because I'm Kye's friend.
What happens on that catfish show when you get found out?
Oh, it's incredible what some of the people have done. Like, they're normally interstate, or sometimes they're in the same town as they've been. They've never met them. They're usually people who've been speaking online, sometimes for like 8 years. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of time that they've spent, together, in quotation marks. But then they'll normally fly them out and they'll have this big reveal. So the MTV owns the franchise, so they will call and ask if the person will meet the person that they've been saying they've been in love with for 10 years. And they're normally somebody who's known them in some way. There's lots of people who are sort of after revenge. There are people who, are making money, saying, "Oh, I'm really struggling. Could you send me $20 or $100 for my phone bill," or whatever else. There's lots of that.
I thought there's a lot of fraud.
So there's a little bit more evidence, which is post the event. Chloe locked herself in the bathroom once she found out, but then realised she didn't have any clothes and had to try to find a way to get out of the house because she was so freaked out. And Gayle was trying to tell her everything's okay and it's not bad and blah, blah, blah. Nothing actually went on to tell me what happened post that, but I feel that would have been a really awkward situation for everyone concerned.
Utterly awkward.
There's probably stronger words than awkward, but that's the one probably still.
Well, I think that there's a person who has been choosing to believe a narrative.
Yeah.
There's another person who has thought that it was evidently, well, I don't know if Gayle's, and we'll get to it when we make the decision, but I'm not sure if Gayle is the villain or it could be it's a grey area. Like, has Gayle gone through this whole process? Because what did she gain from it?
How many Chloes were there? That's what you're going to reveal, aren't you? There's more than Chloe. You've said there's one other woman, but there was another one. Was there more from it? How many victims as such did Gayle have? Did we know that?
Oh, well, no. So this was the longest one. So there were a couple before them, and I didn't do a lot of research post-incident. But just coming back to the evidence, there is a little bit more. So in the end, it was probably Newland's behaviour after this dramatic denouement that secured her conviction. First, she tried to kill herself by jumping from a bridge in a canal in Chester.
Oh, Gayle. Poor Gayle.
How high are the bridges over canals
Not
in
very.
Chester?
Not very. You just get wet. You
It's
just
like
get
jumping off the
wet.
side of a pool.
No, it's a little bit. A bridge over a canal would be 12, 15 feet. Not enough to kill you though, just enough to get you wet. Like jumping off the houseboat.
It did say she tried. It didn't say she succeeded,
Right.
obviously. Having failed, she told a police officer she had done something her friend would never forgive her for. I'm still not sure that
Right.
makes her guilty.
That sounds circumstantial.
I agree.
And she said friend, so it sort of sounds like, you know, she genuinely thought that they had some real connection, perhaps.
I think so.
I don't think that's evidence. I think that's a suggestion that she felt bad that her friend thought differently to her. Anyway, go on.
So that evening, the complainant sent Newland a text message accusing her of being sick and a fake who fabricated the present and the future. I'm not sure how you can accuse someone of fabricating the future, but the whole thing's a little bit weird.
No, we're engaged. Yeah,
On-
no, so the fabrication of future is this idea of we're going to get married and we're going to, you know, have a life together and have children together, which we can't have because you don't produce semen.
Is it?
Well, you do, Clarky, but Newland didn't. Don't get confused.
I know, right? So Newland sent a string of apologetic texts saying she had no confidence in herself and could only be herself elsewhere. But in order to do that, sadly, I have to lie a little, but I didn't lie about being ill.
Oh.
But she had a car accident and a brain tumor.
No, she did lie about being ill.
No, the only thing she said was he'd had a car accident and a brain tumor. Had Newland had a car accident and a brain tumor? No, so she did lie about being ill.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Later, she sent a long email in which she admitted lying about who she was, saying that she had to make up lies to cover her initial lie. So that's all of the credible evidence that I could give you for today. Now, I can tell you about the verdict from that trial. Bear in mind, it was appealed and went to a second trial, but I think I can tell you the verdict from the first trial. You can then tell me what you think. Then I can give you a quick rundown of the second trial, which will give you a little bit more information, and then you can give me an update as to whether or not you change your mind. I'm going to tell you what the first sentence was. After a short trial, Newland was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault by penetration. Just saying, I don't think she actually penetrated her because it was a prosthetic penis that penetrated.
Penetration. Could have used her finger for all you know. She probably did.
Probably did. So Newland was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual assault by penetration and sentenced to 8 years for each count to be served concurrently in prison.
So, sorry, this is UK law.
Yeah.
Currently bit. So that's just 8 years.
8 years.
No, times 3, isn't it?
No,
Yeah, but
to be served
concurrently.
concurrently. So
Okay.
it's 8
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
So 8 years. And this is part of the thing about the modern world, right? When nothing is black and white. Newland's case was taken up by transgender activists who believe the issues of consent it raises is something they have in common. Does it matter, they asked, if Chloe thought she had fallen in love with a man when in fact it was Newland? If Newland was found guilty, would that mean that someone who was transgender and did not inform a partner might also be guilty of sexual assault?
Yes, it's tricky. It's tricky.
It's probably less about transgender and more about cross-dressing.
No, why? Hey, what?
Well, because she hasn't transgendered anything. She's just cross-dressing.
No. But the trans movement of making the statement that says, if I become a man and I don't declare that to my next partner, am I now operating in a gender fraud situation when, to all intents and purposes, I'm a man? So
who's a man? None of them were a man.
No. I'm talking about the trans movement picking this.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So once you've transgendered, you're either a man or a woman. You're not something
Yeah,
else.
I agree. But from
This is a crime of cross-dressing.
hang on, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. What I'm saying is, if I become a trans person, so I become Carol
Have you?
turned into
You kept that a
Charles.
secret.
Well, not recently. So say hypothetically, I become Charles,
Hypothetically.
and we all know I'd have an enormous penis. But anyway,
An enormous what?
penis.
I
If
thought you said, say it loudly and proudly.
And I become Charles, and I start to live my life as a man.
Yes.
Should I find myself in a lovely, loving, romantic relationship with a woman, if I don't tell her that I was once Caroline, does that mean that I'm committing gender fraud? And that's the point of the argument for the movement picking up this story. Mind you, having said that, no one's trans here, so I get your point.
Excellent chat. Well done.
All right, rabbit hole. Went down the rabbit hole on that one.
So knowing all of that stuff about the transgender, there was a whole lot of things that were rehashed, and there were, credibility issues that were raised, including Chloe saying that she was handcuffed all the time, but she didn't mention that in the first one. She mentioned it in the second trial, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the wash up of it all is that the jury finds Newland guilty by a majority of 11-1 on 3 charges of sexual assault by penetration. The Court of Appeals granted Newland bail under certain conditions, and she returned to work. Now, as part of the reason that's important is because whilst she was on bail between her second trial and her second conviction. Second conviction.
Her sentencing. Right.
And during her period, she defrauded her social media agency employers of £9,000. She duped them into believing that a series of paid-for blog posts had been written by 10 people, when in fact, much like how she'd created Kye, all 10 of these people were made up online entries.
Is this material to her case, though?
It's immaterial. It's hilarious. It's immaterial.
But what you're adding here is that she is a bit of a fraudster / liar. That's what you've just added to this whole thing, which was not presented.
No. I'm just telling you what happened whilst they released her. What could go wrong? She's a reasonable person. We'll just let her go until we sentence her.
Fraud someone else, because I love it. It's my favourite thrill.
Anyway, so 11-1, she was found guilty. When she came back, she was found guilty on all 3 accounts of sexual assault and 1 account of fraud. But she was also told she was going to be placed on the sex offender register.
Oh.
And when she found out, she was bewildered, shaking her head. Why sex offender? She says to herself between tears. Why sex offender? She stands up in the dock, staring out the window. I can't go back to prison, she says. I can't. So that's where she landed. Poor Gayle is a sex offender.
I feel bad because I'm just I don't know. Clearly she's done the wrong thing. Clearly she set up that profile. But lots of people do that and they don't have to go to jail for such a long time. And obviously that comes into play because of the sexual assault element. But I always find it very difficult to believe that someone like Chloe can be, how can you have the wool or the blindfold pulled over your eyes to that extent? In what reality are you operating in that you think that you're not, or that you are having sex with a man who you must be blindfolded, you must be blindfolded in the car, they've got the same voice, they've got the same dog. I mean, it's just all of these things that at what point does she have to take any responsibility in any of this? It drives me mad, actually, because if she had have had an ounce of common sense, well, she probably wouldn't have found herself in this position. And that's why earlier on I was inclined to think that she probably was in love or, did like Gayle an awful lot, and it was easier for her to think that it was a heterosexual thing if she was having sex with Kye, and it seemed like it sort of went awry when Gayle said that she was going to go to her parents and say that she was going to come out as gay.
I think it's a complete waste of the court's time, frankly.
So do I.
It's one person who has blindly got into something because it met their needs.
Emotional needs. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, sure, they could have been conned. I'm not convinced the other person was doing anything for the purposes of being malicious. I think
It was done with love.
I don't even know if it was about love. It was probably about, like, lots of relationships, you know, probably a bit about control or a bit about
Mutual attraction, even. I don't
mutual
know.
attraction or feeling good about yourself or whatever it was.
It wasn't self-gratification, was it?
Well, it could well have been, although probably not to your It's so funny. What did Gayle get out of it? Gayle had emotional needs too. So we've got this whole case about two women who have emotional needs, and one wakes up and goes, oh my God, how embarrassing. I don't want the world to know that, you know, I'm going to position it as I've been tricked. And maybe she was. I don't know. I think the whole thing is a complete waste of the court's time. And they both should have been told to go home and be more careful about their MySpace profiles.
So, Judge Carla, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, I'm actually going to go with not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a quasi, like a half and half, like half guilty, half not guilty.
If it had been done once, I think I'd be more suspicious in some ways. The fact that it continued to happen, I just don't. Who in their right mind wouldn't take a small peek? You know what I mean?
In their
you
right
get
mind.
so far down the track and then go, oh, I felt something. You know,
I think that's the point. In their right mind.
I can't.
And
my own beliefs.
to label someone a sex offender. Well, because the whole way through this person consented, and she will say she consented under the guise of thinking it was a man.
Yes.
She consented to those sexual encounters, all 10 of them, and the other, God knows how many other hours of spending time with an individual. She consented to all these things. The best you can go is, oh God, I'm embarrassed. You know, like I thought one thing and something else happened. But to turn around and say this person's a sex offender, because it effectively suggests that this woman is almost a rapist.
Oh, totally.
No,
I don't
she'd
think
rather
we're
be
talking
raped.
about the same thing.
It's what for her. It's way worse than rape. She'd rather be raped.
Oh, see, I don't even think you can say that in itself.
Which upsets me in itself.
Same
That's
here.
right.
I know, right?
That speaks to her. I don't know. I feel that
Her mental
Chloe should be
state.
getting help in a whole other way.
I agree.
And I don't know that a guilty or not guilty verdict on Gayle is ever really going to help Chloe
Complete
to
waste
achieve
of the
that.
court's time.
Yeah.
You're wasting the court's time. You going?
Two people who basically need a counsellor, both of them.
Yeah.
So, Carla, you're going not guilty.
I am, yeah.
Schmidty, not guilty.
Not guilty. No, not guilty. I'm
Not guilty. So given that, does Chloe pay the court costs?
Does Chloe pay for the NHS? Does anyone
Yeah.
pay for the court costs?
I don't think she should be paying for anything. I don't think anyone will.
I think anyone pays for it.
I'm going to go guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine.
I think you could probably hear about 100 of these stories drinking wines with friends on a Saturday night. Maybe not exactly the same, but, you know, there's all kinds of weird stories that come out.
I'll see if I
But
find
the reason I'm saying
tonight.
guilty is, yeah, can you?
I'm just here to help anyone in case they think that they might be taken advantage of by somebody who is, you know, the opposite gender to what they're portraying. And is anyone being blindfolded constantly when they're having sex or driving around in a car and watching movies with a blindfold on? Just because I'm here to tell you it doesn't end well for you. Yeah.
Might
Yeah,
not be what you think
right.
it is.
So the reason I'm going guilty is so that I can sentence. And the sentence for Gayle is castration.
What, taking the dildo off? I have got.
I'm chopping her prosthetic penis right off.
I've got a
No
sentence
more.
for both of them.
Stop it.
I think they're both guilty. Sorry,
They're both guilty.
both guilty. Yeah, they're both guilty.
You're changing your mind?
My point here is I think both of them probably need to shut down their social media instances and get off the internet and get out in the real world. And
Very true.
that is
Very
my
true.
sentence for both of
Except
them.
Gayle's in jail.
So on that, so Newland's trial has also raised broader issues around consent. How many people are truly who they say they are? If somebody lies about their wealth or status or background does that mean a partner can claim they only consented to sex with a different person? Meanwhile,
exactly the point I was making just before, which is
it's not exactly the point. It's got a lot. It's got a lot
it was
less
close
swearing.
enough to the point, which was in the moment that you are consenting to sex, do you say, well, I'm only consenting to sex based on the fact that I think this person owns an Aston Martin and therefore somehow there's something good about this relationship and I'm going to have sex with him? Or just I'm consenting to have sex with the person who's in the bed with me regardless of what they own?
But also they were engaged before they ever met. So, maybe it was not just a one-night stand.
No, precisely. And that you're right to say that it raises questions about what is consent.
I don't have the answers. I'm just raising the questions.
We've all regretted having sex with people. We've absolutely all gone, oh my fuck, that was not my finest hour.
But it
doesn't make it a sexual offence. That just makes it a poor judgment on my behalf.
How many times you married a man who got engaged to a man that you've never met that turned out to be a woman?
Well, as far as I know, never. But, hey.
I love that you say as far as I know, never, as if it could have happened, but you just missed that whole thing. Meanwhile, social media platforms are struggling to tackle the epidemic of false identities on their sites. Mm-hmm. In its 2014 annual report, Facebook admitted that fake accounts make up between 5.5 and 11.2% of its 1.3 billion monthly active users. 11% of 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Surprise me at all. That doesn't.
There's 100 back in 2014. There were 100 million people on Facebook
Fakes.
that I didn't know who actually weren't even real. Like that shocks me.
It'll be far worse now than what it was then. God,
I imagine.
Why does that shock you?
Well, because there's 1.3 billion. I've got like 300 friends on Facebook. And there's that many people that I don't know that are not even real.
But I think the way we use social media.
Still don't know them, but you don't know them either way. Sorry, Carla, go on.
If you look at the profiles of anyone who is, I don't know, say early 20s, late teens, they all have thousands and thousands of friends or followers. And they're, whereas most people sort of our age, I think, genuinely have met the people who they're friends with, whether it be through work or even if you've only met somebody once, you might have been at a dinner with them and they were friends of a friend. That's someone you still know who they were. You might not know a lot about them. You might not interact a hell of a lot with them, but you have at least met them. But the younger demographic, they have thousands and thousands of people and they simply do not know all those people. So that allows a huge scope for, people to pretend they're anybody. A lot of the people they have on this sort of catfish show, they don't have one fake profile. They have 7 or
Exactly.
more.
I mean, a whole show called Catfish exists around this.
Yeah. And it's quite good now. Like watching reruns, it's, and so not only is it so big catfishing, particularly in the US with this, again, an MTV generation, they know that they contact the show to say, look, I'm in this relationship with this person. I've been in a relationship with them for 7 years. I've asked them to marry me. They're so wonderful. I think they'll be a great, stepmother to my child, because they know that there's a high chance that they're not going to be real. Sometimes they do turn out to be the people they say they were, but I would imagine that that's only 5% of the time.
I think it shocks me in a way that I would be shocked if I got engaged to someone I'd never met and then watched movies with them whilst blindfolded and then had sex with them 10 times whilst blindfolded with my hands cuffed.
Yep.
And then finally realised that their testicles didn't feel right. So I whipped my mask off and went, I'm not having sex with who I thought I was.
Yes.
Because you said she was guilty. So go back.
The only reason I said she was guilty because I wanted her punishment to be castration. That's the only reason.
Her rubber balls that don't exist.
I wanted them to cut her strap-on off.
There are 2 victims. I think there are 2 victims in this thing.
Oh, we're all victims, right?
I think they basically needed to very early on be told you both need to go see a counsellor.
Yes.
So there is actually a Facebook page called Save Gayle Newland.
Oh.
I bet there is. Is it fake?
But there's a thing called the Alice Prize, which is a National Contemporary Art Award. I'm assuming in the UK may not be, but I'm just making that assumption. So there's an artist named Prue Morrison who created 3 painted plates. And she says, I've illustrated Kye Fortune, the pink prosthetic penis, and the victim who was renamed Chloe. This is the penis. And then this is Chloe with her hand up saying, stop right now.
Carla, explain it to me because it just looked to me.
It's there,
What?
a pink dot, it's facing to the left. Her arm straight, there's a boobie. See?
Yeah, that's a stop right now pose.
Yeah. Then there's a boobie.
Breast.
Yeah, on pubis.
Oh, I see. She's got a
I
very,
don't know what that
very, very flat head and she's got a big nose and dark hair.
Yeah, something's not right about the upper
Oh,
bit.
it's above her head.
That could also be a penis hanging down from the clouds, the sky.
Who's Prue? She's
Prue's
She's
fucked up.
rubbish.
Who
She
is
is
Prue?
rubbish. That is the worst art I've ever seen.
where did you find the artwork?
On the internet.
Paul's
No,
done an amazing
Just
job.
stuff just pops
An
up.
amazing
National
job.
Gallery of Australia, and it was there. But I sort of meant, how did you stumble across it?
Well, I actually did a little bit of Googling around Kye Fortune just to see if I could find a photo of Kye Fortune. Could not. This is the wormhole I was talking about. It starts with some bloke in
Great.
Caboolture in Queensland throwing a dildo and ends up with this case.
That was one of the longest, lead ups to a joke about castration. Because
He had to
that
sit
I
on it the
have
whole
ever
time.
heard. That I have
You
ever
didn't
heard.
see it coming though, did you?
You're right. I didn't see it coming. No pun intended. And it just
It wasn't.
it
It was a strap on. It wasn't coming.
Around the waist, around the waist.
Not the knee, unfortunately.
Wrong place. You all know that. All right. Well, actually, that's it for this week because you did labour the longest lead up to a single punchline ever. So let's say that was an excellent case, Paul. We will thank our listeners for listening, and hopefully they still are. And hopefully they'll see us again, hear us again next week.
Bye.
At 1. Bye.
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 Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everybody about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.
And